So we've gotten a lot of the plumbing and wiring done in the boat. Figuring out how to conceal all that plumbing and wiring is a really fun challenge. And this week we're going to tackle that challenge. And I think we've come up with a very elegant solution that will actually enhance the interior of the boat. I've spent the last couple days gluing in all the vent plumbing for the water tanks. You remember I fit all that stuff before, it was just dry fit. And my mom was here actually helping me glue all these pieces together, and all of the fittings are now glued into the tank as well. So the next project, Larry is here to help me with. We are going to start building the trim pieces that will be covering up the plumbing and the wire runs that are in the shear corner of the boat. It's going to be a very satisfying project to see these trim pieces go in. The first step was to screw in the cleats that the trim will attach to. I can't screw the wood valances directly into the fiberglass hull, so I'm using these Kusa board cleats that will be glued to the hull, and the valances will be glued to the cleats. The cleats are increasing the gluing surface area by a lot, and it will be something to clamp to, so I won't need to use any fasteners. This should be a very clean install. Perfect. So I'm going to hide the plumbing and the wiring with a Meranti plank that will go down far enough that you can't see that stuff. And we're going to glue up those planks to these cleats that Larry and I are installing. And so we've just got them dry fit now, screwed to the boat. And now we're going to go back, take them all off, put glue on them, epoxy on them, and glue them back up. And then we could start templating the pieces. Usually I would say that we would use an embarrassing amount of glue, but not in this case because I don't want to do a bunch of cleanup, and it's not that necessary. So even that was too much. Yeah, maybe let's just do a quick vacuum. I'll just wrap this off for you.
Is that the short side?
Awesome. Now is the fun part. So now we can template. So you can just cut out a couple 3 or 4 inch pieces.
Most of these valances will be pretty straightforward to get the shape where I want them. The overhead can be a little lumpy, so I may use the template to get it close, and then after the valance is cut, use a hand plane to hone it in.
Have that knife, please.
No boat is built without a little whittling.
Thanks for coming, Larry.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Yep.
Shall we?
The next day I took down the templates and used them to make the actual wood trim pieces. I'm using Meranti wood for this trim, which is the same as I'm using for all the wood trim in the boat. And once varnished, it will have a really beautiful light pinkish hue. I think it will look really nice with the white interior of the boat. I traced and rough cut the plank that was milled down at Eden Saw in Port Townsend. The top of the board I want to have a similar angle to the overhead, so I used my handy bevel gauge to find that angle and translated it to the bandsaw, and then started cutting. The last touch is to trace the overhead line down onto the valance. It came down a couple more times to slowly plane down the top to the right line. Eventually I had a really good fit. For the final fitting of the piece, I'm using a mini hand planer to whittle down the corners to a nice radius. as well as trim down the ends for a nice tight fit. There is a ton of futzing with a project like this to fit the pieces in nicely. These will be glued in permanently, and if there are any glaring errors, they'll haunt me for as long as I use the boat. And so the fit and finish needs to look professional.
That's close enough. Looks pretty good. Now obviously these two are cabinets, so there'll be doors on those. And so the plank actually continues up in the stateroom.
I have a question. Is this a typical way to conceal plumbing and wiring, or is it typically done another way on boats?
I don't know. There's, I'm sure, a million ways to conceal wiring in the boat. Oftentimes, there's not as much, like, both plumbing and wiring up in the sheer of the boat like we have. And that's because we have these big, huge water tanks that are on the outboard side. And they are blocking any passageway that wiring or plumbing can go. So that's why we have to put it all above it or below it. And I'm trying to keep as much out of the bilge as possible. Plus, vent plumbing has to be above the water tanks anyway. So that's why we have all that plumbing and wiring up there. I think in a lot of boats, you'll find like the plumbing is usually in the bilge. And then the wiring can be also high up in the bilge or like along the cabinets and all the storage spaces that are along the outboard side. So I don't know. There's a million ways to do it, I'm sure. We'd love to hear any opinions you all have in the comments about how wiring and plumbing can be concealed.
Okay, we're gonna glue on the first two of these valances. I'm gonna use my Thick Soap Pro from Total Boat to glue these things in. And for the final sweep of epoxy, I'm gonna actually put some wood dust in there I just sanded a piece of Meranti just to make a bunch of wood dust. I'll mix that in with the epoxy to make sure that, well, to try and color match, essentially, the epoxy to the wood. So, hope this goes well. Nice. I think that's pretty good.
I think it looks fantastic.
Yeah, so there'll be lights on the back side of this, like a strip light, and that'll be kind of mood lighting at all the windows. It's supposed to make the interior space look bigger. That's what they tell me.
Having it along the side like that?
On the outboard and out the windows, they'll be dimmable. So, yeah, should be pretty cool.
And they'll be varnished, so they will like be even more beautiful.
Yep. The varnishing project is weighing on me, and so we're thinking about getting that started pretty soon because we haven't even installed or built all the stuff that needs to be varnished yet. But it's going to be a big project, big enough that we want to kind of do it in stages. So we'll start getting some of this stuff varnished soon.
Can't wait to see it varnished.
Me too. Okay, it's time to do this one above the nav station.
That's a wrap for this week. Please consider helping us out by liking this video, subscribing, and sharing it with others. Plus, there's that new hype button. That helps too. Thanks, guys. See you next week.